Now, the one more most important part of our central nervous system is a spinal cord. Although spinal cord information is not given in our textbook, but related to spinal cord structure and function, most important a neural response we called reflex action is given. Therefore, to know the reflex action as well as reflex arc structure, compulsory we should analyze the structure of the spinal cord. As we know, medulla oblongata extended as a specialized dorsal nerve cord. That dorsal nerve cord itself we call the name spinal cord. This spinal cord having spinal nerves, they innervated to the peripheral part of our body. Basically, if you take spinal cord, it's protected by a bony structure we call the name vertebral column. In addition to that, how brain is protected by the special connective tissue protection we call meninges. Like that, the spinal cord is also protected with the help of what? A specialized connective tissue mass, that what we call meninges. It is made up of three important layers, that are dura mater, arachnoid, pia mater. Dura mater is outermost layer, middle layer is arachnoid, inner one the specially pia mater. If you take transverse section of spinal cord, there is one basic difference we have. In case of brain, the white matter remain at center, grey matter on peripheral region. Here it is reverse. Grey matter remain at center, whereas white matter present on outer side. If you take grey matter, it's modified like a H-like letter with central canal, which is filled with a specialized body fluid we called cerebrospinal fluid. Then that horn of specially that a grey matter we called the specially dorsal horn. Then the limbs of what we call grey matter we called ventral horn we called. It is the name, not ventral root, ventral horn it is. It is the specially dorsal horn. Then the dorsal horn gives dorsal root with dorsal root ganglion, and always it is an afferent process. It receives sensory message from the receptor cells, whereas the ventral horn gives ventral root. It conveys message from spinal cord to various parts of the body, that is what we call motor nerve. Therefore, always the spinal cord possesses the specially a spinal nerves, and this spinal nerve is mixed because the dorsal root is the motor sensory in nature, ventral one sensory. If both motor as well as sensory nerves mixed, at that time such nerve is called mixed nerve. If you consider the specially white matter, it having dorsal side a small notch we call dorsal median fissure, ventral side ventral median fissure. That notch is there. Then at the same time we can differentiate white matter into the three cavities: ventral, dorsal and lateral cavities. This is the structure of spinal cord. Here we have to study reflex action and reflex arc. Sudden stereotypic automatic response to stimuli is called reflex action. For that, best example is knee jerk. Even when you bring any object near the eyelid, immediately there is a eyelid and pupil movement is take place. There is also best example for reflex action. There are plenty of conditional reflex action is take place. Suppose every day we taking breakfast morning at 8:30. All the glandular secretions of digestive glands, mainly salivary gland, gastric gland, pancreas, then the liver as well as intestinal gland secrete and release that digestive gland by the reflex action mechanism. This is what we call the name conditional reflex action. Then in an emergency condition, there are plenty of flight or fight actions are take place. That's all the specially best example for reflex action. To take reflex arc, it is the structural and functional unit of reflex action. It having the specially receptors. One, then next sensory neuron, then relaying neuron, motor neuron, and finally the specially effector. The effector may be either the muscles or glands. First you take receptors, compulsory they are sensory cells. Sensory cells may be, as we know, the tango or tactile receptors found in case of skin. Then olfactory receptors, they recognize the sense of smell found in nose. Gustatory receptors mainly found on tongue. Then like that auditory receptors found in ears. Like that, the specialized optic receptors which helps for vision found in eyes. These sensory cells act as a receptor cell. They work like an antenna or a dish antenna, receives the sensory stimuli, whatever the stimulation created by the environment. These sensory cells or receptor cells, whatever the message is received, it is trapped by sensory neuron. That sensory neuron we also called afferent neuron because it tending towards the center, afferent towards center. Or even we also call them as a receptor neuron because they receive the message from receptor cells or sensory cells. Later, immediately, that neuron may not convey the message under reflex action condition for brain. It convey that the message to the relaying neuron. The role of relaying neuron is to convey the message from sensory neuron to motor neuron. Once motor neuron receive the message, it convey that message either to the muscles, that movement is take place, or glands. As a result, secretion is take place. Hence, that gland or muscles we called as a effector, and motor neuron carries message from spinal cord to either muscles or glands, and this motor neuron we also called effector neuron because it brings effect, or it we also called efferent neuron. Efferent means away from center. This is the structure of a what we call reflex arc, which having the totally 5 components. One is receptor, secondary sensory neuron, third relaying neuron, motor neuron, lastly effector.